left field, right? So righties are always going to be showing their numbers more than lefties, but it's only because of the angle. If you see a lefty really showing his numbers, like a Robinson Cano, legit. Like him and Trout are probably pretty equal in how much of the numbers that they show. But so they say it's a track. It says it takes the eyes off the ball, and then they call it false separation. They say you're moving away from contact, and I'm like, well, they obviously don't know how the human movement, like basic locomotion, right? Because it's all about spirals. It's all about rotation, preloading the torso before you get to landing. That's what it's all about. That's how you take the slack out. And the other thing is, after they started to kind of soften to it, some of these guys that were teaching the guide, some of the stuff we've been talking about, the philosophy, the barrel moving the body, after a while, then it was like, okay, well, I see guys doing that. I see guys showing their numbers, but they can't get to an inside pit like 97 in like that. So I went online. I looked up Craig Hyatt's page. I looked up videos of all those guys we mentioned in this video so far, Miggy and all these guys. And I was looking for 95 plus inside and was trying to see, because one of my hitters, actually, this was about 3 years ago. Hitter's been with me since he was 7. He's now driving. He's got his license. He's 16 now. He's pretty clean, catapult loading system wise, like the stuff we're talking about today. And he was having a hard time. And I was teaching that deep barrel dump, that barrel in the zone super early. No matter if the ball's in, middle, or away. Didn't matter, barrel dump. And so we were throwing live, and I'm throwing to him, and he's like, Coach, I don't feel like I can get to that inside pitch. He goes, am I showing my numbers too much? And I was like, I don't think so, but let me do some research. So I went to Craig Hyatt's page. I was looking at 95 plus inside, and I was looking at those specific hitters that do this, where there's a lot of them. It doesn't take long to find them, on pitches that were fastballs that hard inside. The question was, were they still showing their numbers, or showing their numbers less than if they would on an outside pitch? And the answer I came up where it was clear as day was that they showed their numbers the same regardless of the pitch. It's not something like a stride.
Where your numbers happens before you know where the pitch is.
Yeah. You can't like adjust on the fly, right? You're just loading your body and getting ready. So that answered my question. I was like, okay, these guys that are saying, well, you can't do it inside 97 in. So I was like, okay, well, what's the difference then? And what I'm going to reveal, this is a talk for another video, probably. We don't have to go into this one. But the difference was when the barrel entered the zone. So if the ball was in inner third, what they did was they kept the barrel closer to their shoulder, up, and then what we call the belly button catcher's glove. They would release the barrel. Imagine a catcher in line with the hitter's belly button, and they release their barrel in line with the hitter's belly button, catcher's belly button, like they're knocking a catcher's glove off that's in line with the hitter's belly button, right? So Barry Bonds swings. A lot of times, he would hit pitches that seemed to be like right here, and he'd freaking hit them into the bay, right? And he couldn't do that if he's dumping his barrel early. It's not gonna happen. So that was what I found out. Again, that's the talk probably for another video, but that was what I found out. So it wasn't about showing numbers. There was no, all the objections they were raising. Well, it pulls the hitter's eyes off the ball. No, not if you use the head as an anchor. You can't hit 97 in like that. Well, no, we see them hitting 97 like that, but it's something else. You're not, what is in the way of you accepting this is we're talking about something totally different. It has nothing to do with showing numbers. You can't disagree that they don't show their numbers. I mean, it's right there, clear as day, and they're big on video analysis, and that's what's silly. That's what's clownish about the whole thing.
So what about hand path? You could do all what you're asking a hitter to do, but then you could come in, you could have the bar arm, the front arm barred, or you could have it you could come in like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So like, what would you say about that?
So you got, again, the swing it's a journey. It's not a destination, right? So especially with younger hitters. So I have my hitters right now. I don't work with many that are unless they're online, below age 11, 12. because we do small private groups, and it's harder for the young ones to work into groups with the older guys. So I have most of my guys are high school going into college, and I have a few junior hires going into high school and stuff like that. So the younger ones tend to have a harder time with it, especially the ones you're talking about that are very linear with their hands. They're going here. And I have one right now who's actually a junior in high school. He's made huge strides. He was barely able to, he's knocking on the door to 70 miles an hour ball exit speed when he first started with them. This was probably about a year and a half ago. And he's now at 83. I think he's topping out off the backspin tee, which is pretty impressive because backspin tee takes off about 3 miles an hour from a Tanner tee. So Tanner tee that's equivalent to Tanner tee's 86. So in a game, he's hitting 86, say +5 in a game. So he's hitting 91 in a game. Pretty good for a junior, right? But the problem we're having with him, and I'm thinking we've been doing some movement stuff with the Rotex motion and different things like that. And that's where his improvements have come. And that's with wood, by the way, 83 with wood, not bad. And the big problem we're having with him is that when he turns, we get him into a position where he's barred out. But like you said, what happens if they bend and they come through this way? And that's kind of what he's doing. So what we do, and this takes a little bit of time, at least from my understanding, we're doing what's called a wrist snap, a deep tee wrist snap. So let me see if I can even try this on film and even see what that is. So basically what a wrist snap, I'm going to choke up so I don't hit my computer. So a wrist snap would be, so we'd get into that barred position. You can still hear me, Jamie? I'm not too far away. Okay.
I can hear you.
So you get into that position, and then as I'm coming around, so what I'm going to do is my knob is going, and this is the other thing that you see on video. You'll see the major leaguers, the elite hitters, you'll see their knob stop at a certain point. And then this snap comes around. Yeah, I'm exaggerating it here, but in high speed, it actually looks like what the guys are doing. So the knob has to stop at a certain point, and then we snap it around. So like like when you throw a ball, you get that snap with the hand. It's kind of, what do they call it? Pronating, not supinating like a lot of these guys teach. They talk about supinating this way, right? This is actually pronating this way. Again, I'm exaggerating just because we're going in slow motion here. But the knob will stop, and then the barrel comes around and pivots, okay? So a lot of those kids you're talking about are bend, and then the knob keeps going, and then what they do is they end up pronating when we learn how to do this, and that's what this particular kid's doing, but they do it way out in front. So they've already hit the ball, palm up, palm down, and then their ball's going away, and then they're pronating. Instead of palm up, palm down at contact, and then pronating right away. Like that pronation already starts before they even hit the ball. It's not over though. It's not we're not rolling. It doesn't look like it's rolling over yet. They're still at here, but then you get that snap at the end, like Hank Aaron would do, right? So how I teach it is at first it was, imagine you have a red laser here and then coming out of the knob and a green laser coming out of the end here. So what you're doing is you're replacing red with green. Red with green. And if you watch Griffey's a big one. You watch him do it and everything just snaps right through. So we evolved the laser part. The laser, they can figure that out. But to get them to physically do it, I found it was a little tough. So then what I tell them is I want them to snap the barrel past their hands. So if their hands and their barrel were in a race, I want their barrel to win. And that seems to help. And I'll change that up. I might say snap. So for some hitters, and this kind of comes to what you're alluding to. The problem is that they're over rotating their upper half. So at contact, they're in this type of position because they're not taking slack out of the system, or they're not snapping, they're not making their body move, or their lower half is over rotated. So we have to under rotate their either upper or lower half. So the deep tee snap, what we do is how we set that up is we have them set up a tee, whether it's backspin or Tanner or whatever. We have them set the tee up slightly deeper than they would normally, middle of the plate, where the ball is lined up at landing with their front hip. Okay, so normally if they're going to hit that, they're going to try and hit that to the opposite field because it's a little deeper on them. But what we challenge them to do in 3 phases. So the first phase, we call it a 1.0 swing. So where we practice that red laser to green laser, we just have them sit on a chair or a bucket, and we just have them kind of practice that motion. and practice that motion in a way where the knob stops at their rib cage and then they snap it around and switch it. That's the first phase. Second phase, 2.0s, are where they get to landing position. They get to their landing position, create their tension in their neck, you know, in their catapult loaded position. And then from there, they got their T set up deep, and then you have them snap it, and they have to actually pull it. They have to pull it into the righties left side of the cage, lefties right side of the cage. They can't hit it oppo. So they have to be forced to really snap it around. So those players that do this with their hands, they have a hard time with it because at first they hit soft stuff to the opposite way until they get good. And part of it is getting good at it. It's a strength thing. So we use a lot of heavy bat stuff because they have to learn how to maneuver that snap and be able to control it. And it's kind of like a pinball machine, the flapper, right? So if you want to hit a pinball to the right side of the table, you got to hit it in a certain position, and the direction's got to go that way. If you want to pull it, you know, same type of thing. So the snap is kind of, I can practice my snaps to right, I can practice them to center, and I can practice them to left. So it's kind of getting familiar with the move, and the hitters that are opposite. So they bat left, throw right, bat right, throw left. They're going to have a harder time because now they're controlling that with their top hand. So they're going to have a hard time in the beginning, but it usually takes those hitters about a week more to get it than the right, or the lefts.
Okay. So I just want to be respectful of your time as well.
Yeah. I got a little bit of time. If you're good, I'm good.
I actually don't have time. I told you 30 minutes
of your time today.
But I do want to ask real quick, what is the worst thing that's being taught out there right now? To be on the negative side of things, you got to be negative.
I know there's so much, but you know, to prioritize that, I would say the worst thing is that barrel moves the body, because
and that you're referring to, I believe, Teacher Man's teaching, where basically he says that this is a really interesting approach, and I agree with you. It's absolutely crazy to think that basically the center of the swing is when you snap the barrel back like that. Okay, so that to you is
well, and here's the thing, right? So I'm okay with that, middle away and middle down. I'm okay with that. That barrel entering the zone early is fine because you're making contact later in the zone. So again, like my player that got tested and found out that he was maximizing bat speed behind him, but by the time he got to impact, which was maybe an inside pitch, maybe middle in, maybe middle up, his barrel was slowing down by that time. But you can't teach all hitters to do that all the time because it depends. So I like his approach. I love Teacher Man's approach. I'm not trying to put him down. I love his approach, middle away, middle down. And if I have a hitter who is a physically swinging down hitter, which I don't have too many. Most of them are barrel dropping type hitters. So we have to kind of go the other way. So I like his approach, middle away, middle away, middle down, or if the hitter is physically swinging down, like he's got too short of an approach, I'm good with it. The problem that I have with it is that they're teaching it to all hitters, blueprinting to all hitters, regardless of pitch depth, inside, middle, or away. It's the same barrel path all the time. For one, that's not going to work middle in, middle up. It doesn't work very well, and very consistently, let me say, consistently. And the other thing is I see all these hitters arch their backs. I see them arching their backs in a way that is putting these hitters in harm's way, big time. Like, of course, an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, they're not going to feel it yet, but by the time they're our age, they're going to have a hole in their back. They're going to have back spasms, herniated discs, all kinds of stuff if they continue to do that swing after swing after swing after swing. So I like the approach, but being safe with it, meaning we call it the hollow position, taking your belly button and your belt buckle and pinching those 2 points together. That puts more of a flex in the lower back. And if you can hold that flex and do what Teacher Man's telling you, middle down, middle away, it's a great approach. I love it. But I see too many back arching and turning, and at that point it just makes me want to puke.
So, you know, I think it's important that we talk about everyone's theories of the swing and get it out there, and And basically, you know, I think right now a lot of it is it's just so hard to understand what exactly do people think. You know, what do people think about the swing? So I appreciate you coming on. I think we need to do this more. Guys who have, you know, popular theories about the swing, you know, come out and explain it. And so I think this is good. I would love to ask you more questions, but we just we went we kind of filled up the time already. So anyways, let me give you a chance to tell people where they can find you.
Sure. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I appreciate the time, and we'll definitely do a part 2, 3, 4, whatever. But people can find me hittingperformancelab.com. They can go there. There's a lot of information, 300 plus blog posts. Been doing that since like 2014, I think, is when I came out with the blog. So there's a lot there. Use the search bar at the top for whatever you have a query. I have it all kind of in the navigation bar, separated by popular blog posts, and then I have it by blog posts that have to do with build more power, hit more line drives, get on time more often, and then I have other blog posts in there too. So that can kind of help to filter the information so you can find out what you need. And then the other part, and you can find me on the socials, either Joey Myers, just type in Joey Myers, or Hitting Performance Lab, and you can find me there on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, be Joey Myers, and Instagram. I'm going to be doing some different stuff here in the next probably couple weeks. I'm going to change around what I'm doing to make it a little bit more user friendly. So that's where you can find me. And then the startinglineupstore.com is where I have the kind of it started off as the 9 best hitting aids on the planet, but you know, there's a little bit more than 9. So I couldn't stick to that, but it is like the hitting aids that I use and others use and things like that. So hittingperformancelab.com and the startinglineupstore.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joey. And
Thanks,
until
Jamie.
next time, take care, buddy.
You got it, bud. Thank you.
All right.
The Hitting Performance Lab wants to know, did you know repeatable hitting power does not start in the hips? Have you heard the expressions, load and explode the hips? Power comes from the hips. Well, we created a free video revealing the results of a scientific study that will show you how we added 48 feet of batted ball distance instantly. And it's not all about the hips. Click here now to get the video while it's still free.